G'day, Brad Scott here from The Naked Zombie. Now, if you like geek apparel, if you like cool, geek, nerdy, awesome collectible toys like bobbleheads from The Walking Dead, great t-shirts from Doctor Who, and all the fun stuff that makes us nerds unique, well then you need to go to Zombie Steve's. Now, you'll find them at
www.zombiesteves.com.au.
Oh my lord.
You go there and you will find the best in what the geeks can get their hands on. I'm Brad Scott. I endorse this message.
Seriously.
Naked Zombie Radio. 3, 2, 1.
It is time, once again, to lock your doors, shut your windows, strap yourself into your favorite comfy chair, and tune out and tune into The Naked Zombie.
Welcome to another episode of The Naked Zombie in the Zombie Mobile. G'day, Liam.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Good.
Well, Usher,
Getting comfortable in the
in the Zombie Mobile.
Mobile?
Yeah, sitting here, back at the soccer grounds again. Listen, before we get started tonight's show, I've got some quite sad news for us all.
Get the little violin out.
Yeah, and it's pretty heartbreaking that a good friend of ours, a very good friend of ours on the show, Mr. Matt Dixon, shaved off his beard. He did. Mr. Dixon of Dark Cell Productions. If you listen to tonight's show, mate, you shaved off your beard and you let manhood down. And as a sign of respect for your beard that is no more, please, a moment's silence. Okay, that's enough. Anyway, so Mr. Dixon shaved off his... Oh, that's not really newsworthy. Oh, it is, because he's a friend of ours. We get the joke, but... Yeah. See, the idea was Mr. Dixon, good friend Matt, was meant to come with us on the 2015 National Beard Championships. He soon forgot about. And, so the mantle is left to me and Mr. Wolf now, who... Yes, I'm just stroking it now in a loving sort of way. Anyway, we've had a big week, haven't we?
We have.
Actually, a big couple of days.
Almost a week.
Almost a week. Anyway, so what happened was what night did we go out? Saturday night? Was it Saturday night?
Saturday night?
Okay. Yeah, last Saturday night we got invited to the, at Wolston House for the psychic thing they had out there. And Kelly, g'day Kelly, I was asked to be a part of it, so were you. You did the history side of it.
Yeah.
And I was there to talk about shenanigans. Things to look out for. But also to do readings and that. And because I was stuck in this one, it was really funny actually. You know what I'm like, I sort of get all sort of... I'm very animated when I talk to people. My arms are waving a bit. I'm doing it now. And I was like, great radio. Anyway, so I got to go do readings and stuff like that, which was pretty fun. Because I was stuck in the room and I had up to 10 people. Oh, how many people were there?
I think nearly 70 or 80 odd people.
Between 70 and 80 people.
A good group of people.
Went to this psychic reading. It was more of explanation of the psychic and the mediumship side of things and all the rest of it. And one of the ladies got sick and pulled out. So Kelly contacted me and said, Brad, listen, I need you to fill in and do... Because I was just going to go there and check it out, but I ended up having the stage all night, as it were, and had groups of people come in, besides having in fits of laughter, because you know what I'm like when I get going. Well, actually, it was very interesting because, like I said, there's certain things you look, and I went into, like, people, you can tell if they're fishing for information or body language, all that type of stuff, what to look for when someone's trying to do a reading on you. So you're paying money for this, so you know what to look for when someone's doing a reading, so you're not getting ripped off, basically. That's what it comes down to the end of the day. You know, we're trying to sort of make it as educational as possible, but also did some on-the-spot stuff and said that this is what a good medium or psychic should be able to do, and it went bang, 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 bang. I had 5 people up on stage, and I went bang, 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 bang. Picked them straight off the bat,
Yep.
personalities, WhatsApp and stuff, without fishing or asking questions. You know what I mean? Instead of asking a question to get an answer, then to give an answer back.
Yeah, and
That's
then
what
slowly
happens.
working towards the final
Yeah,
reveal.
and I actually said to him, and so then I'm going to say, look, I said, because there was such a large group of people, that I'm standing up on there, I'm going, listen, this is what you can do. I can quite easily walk around, I pick up someone with a mother's first name starts with S, and what happens? The lady puts her hand up. As in, okay, S, your mother starts with S. Yeah, type of thing.
Yep.
And that's how I was trying how you feed information, or you unknowingly give away too much information in your face expressions and all the rest of it. And so, but Kelly is very, very good at what she does, and I love her a bit. And she's one of the very few that I've actually met in my time that can really pull it off. And she asked me to do my side of it, with the medium side of it and the clairvoyant side of it, and it was a great night. Now, what was your... So you were doing the history side of things.
Yeah,
What
so-
was the overall... what do you think? Because I was sort of elsewhere. I didn't see you all night. We went together and tried not to run over kangaroos out that way, because there were so many of the bastards. What was the general atmosphere that you got afterwards all done? You spoke to
Yeah,
people and
I
stuff.
think the general atmosphere is everyone genuinely loved it. So I think a lot of people too, I think, came without any sort of preconceived notions of what to expect.
Yep.
And they were just fairly curious to know a little bit more about mediums and clairvoyance and sort of that more psychic side of things. And I think a lot of people went away a lot better educated than they were when they arrived. And yeah, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes. So it was excellent. Everyone seemed to have an absolute ball.
And did they say stuff like, my God, that Brad, he's such a tool?
No,
No?
they said that Brad was fantastic.
There you go. I was fantastic. I just pat myself on the back. Brad's awesome. But, yeah, so we did that. That was a lot of fun, mind you. And it's the first time, I guess, I really got out there and did that. And she was very interesting. Kelly said to me, it's very interesting to have the male perspective.
Yep.
Now, having someone who looks like me, like I've escaped from prison, shaved head, big beard, very uncouth, tell it how it is, doing this sort of thing, and
Well, it is.
yeah.
It's very unusual. Even to go to any of the markets of a weekend, or the local coffee shop, where you might find a psychic or somebody, tarot card reader of a Friday or a Saturday night. Generally, it's quite a rare occasion to actually come across a male in that role.
Especially one that looks like I do.
Yeah.
I'm not actually
as,
pretty like
as
you.
dapper and
I wasn't dapper at all, man. Because I asked people, because I was putting people, because there were a few people there that that were sensitive and stuff like that, and I was there to test them to see how accurate they were as well. Because what I did, I put someone on stage and I said, okay, you're such and such person, and this is, I never met him for Borough Soap, this is what's going on, you haven't, I went through the whole thing, and they go, oh, type thing, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Then I said, okay, you do it to me. Because of the impression they got from me, because I was actually wearing like good clothes, I said, I explained who I was, I host a radio show and stuff like this, this is what I do. What do you think I do for a living? I got everything from an accountant to sales to a lawyer. They picked radio host up because I told them right at the start, but none of them picked up that I actually worked in heavy industry at all, which is interesting because of the way I looked, and that's what I tried to explain to people. I said, don't go off by what people look like, because you'll never get it. You've got to get past that.
see past the
See the past
outside.
the one. Anyway, so that was a great night. Anyway, what else we also did? We'll skip over that now, but thank you, Kelly. It was an awesome night, and no doubt we'll be doing it again. Another thing we did also, we decided to go out and take some really cool photographs, didn't we?
We did.
You can tell the story on this one. We got bored, didn't we? We're going to do a show Monday night, but I decided, bugger this, I don't feel like doing a show Monday. Did we? We went out Sunday and Monday, didn't we?
I'm trying to think. No, we went out Monday.
Monday.
Oh yes,
No, we did go out Sunday
we
night.
did go out Sunday night.
You see, what we've been doing is, you can tell the experience we had Sunday night too. That was really weird.
Very weird.
What happened was, the biggest thing what we do is, I guess, every now and then me and Liam just love jumping the zombie mobile and just head out, check out urban legends and stories. And because look, Liam's a historian, he understands all that stuff, he knows it back to front. And I'm pretty good at it as well, but not to Liam's extent by any means, because you're the one who's got a master's. What have you got your master's in?
Cultural heritage management.
He's got a master's in cultural heritage management. And what other degrees you have, Liam?
A Bachelor of Arts in Archaeology and Anthropology.
And what's the other one, Liam?
A Bachelor of Arts in Parapsychology.
You and I've got a bachelor in craptology.
Craptology.
Crapatocalotology. I have no degrees. Just speaking of degrees and that, it's really interesting today. I was having smoko at work and just messing about, posting photos of my beard on my Facebook page as I do because it's just awesome. Anyway, and the young blokes I was with are in their mid-20s, right? And one of the young blokes, Glenn, like he's really keen on the whole thing, and he's a great young bloke, and and he's quite interested when I talk about this stuff because I'm useless information, and it's not useless, but it's history based and stuff.
Yep.
And I asked one of the young guys today, we were talking about his, his typical response, I don't care. I said, well, explain to me what the Eureka Stockade was then. One of the most Australian prevalent events ever that changed the country. And he didn't even know he thought it was that TV show Eureka. That
was awesome. I used to love Eureka when
that's
I was
good,
a young fella.
But it sort of was a sad in a way that, here's these young blokes in their mid-20s and they got no idea about even our history of Australia. We're only a couple of hundred years old. In a nutshell, look, I can understand if it's not to do with overseas history or something like that, but you expect them to have some sort of knowledge and understanding of Australia-based cultural heritage.
Yep.
Or history understanding it. Like tonight, we were talking about the Salem witch trials at round dinner. We're having tea.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there talking away, and I threw a pot question at you, and you threw a pot question at me, and stuff like that. For people who don't know off the top of my head, the Salem witch trial started in February. I hope I'm right on this. February 1692 through to May 1693. There you go. See, I'm a wealth of useless information. But this stuff fascinates me, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's what it's about. So I was quite sort of... I was a little bit sad to see that.
Well, fortunately, there was actually a really good article that was written only in the Saturday newspaper Just Been that they completely revamped the national curriculum and are bringing all of that new Australian history back into schools now, which is fantastic. So more looking at Australian history in a world context, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get a little bit more of it out there now, and people will start understanding the history of Australia a little more and appreciating sort of where Australia's come from. And
I mean, my kids, hear that? That's a siren if you're wondering. We're parked illegally. We're parking up. Oh, and also Liam took me to these special toilets near South Brisbane Cemetery we were talking about earlier on during dinner. Well, that's it. Yep, we'll stop and have a look at the sirens. Line up a cigarette. But the thing, a lot of kids nowadays don't have that. Look, I understand maths, English, science, very important. Right? Very, very important. But I think also, no matter what country you're in, you should learn the history of your own country as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like when we lived in New Zealand, I learnt a lot about New Zealand culture and history, about the Maori Wars and all the rest of it, because I was just finding that fascinating, because where we were living at Ascot Park, well, it was Whitby and Ascot Park, that whole area, from what I looked into, was part of, many moons ago, was part of the Maori Wars. That's what, that's the thing. And a lot of areas around Wellington as well, and because we have a lot of earthquakes in Wellington and New Zealand and that, and you got to hear about the story, which building fell down, what was there, because they keep changing. What happened in Christchurch of all things. Massive earthquakes. So it's sort of weird in a way that my two kids who are 14 and 12 do understand history, because I talk about it non-stop at home, because it is, to me, it is important.
Yep.
Well, having you living there as well, it's sort of like having that whole, if they've got a question on it, and they're fascinated by it. They really are, which I'm stoked over the moon about. Sorry, I'm rabbing on again.
No, but it is. It's very important. Regardless of which country you come from, your history is what you base your cultural identity on, and it's who you are as a society. So.
And that's why I'm doing. If you've seen it on the Facebook site lately, I've been posting doing a bit of digging around myself, and I've been finding out on this day. So every day you're going to find a post of what actually happened on this day. So if it's your birthday, like today, what was it? What did I post today? It was the President Garfield. I've got his spine where he was shot into the pancreas, went through his spine into his pancreas. It was 2 assassins on this day. Not that he got shot on this day, but what they did is they removed his spine after he died, and part of the medical science thing.
I'm hoping it was after he died, otherwise he'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, well, it was probably about 6 inches of it, and actually got a red tube sticking through where the bullet hole was, and as part of the medical science stuff is where the bullet penetrated, and it's actually President Garfield's, America's part of his spine of all things. I mean, and it ended its display and then went packed away again type thing. Yesterday, it was the 400th episode back in 2007 of The Simpsons. So you're going to find I'm going to be posting a lot of interesting facts about what's happened on this day.
Yep.
Then some of them are odd, some are quirky, but it's always interesting. Like when what was that one the other day I posted about Orson Welles? This day he got released from prison. You know what I mean? For homosexuality, because it was illegal.
Yeah.
In England in those days, and how he spent, I think, how many years in hard labour did he do?
Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde, I think Orson Welles. Oscar Wilde, sorry. I'm getting some is coming up for Orson Welles. Oscar Wilde got sent away for homosexuality, and that type of thing. And 3 years after that, he died. You know what I mean? He was a brilliant man. Very flamboyant.
Not
but
particularly well known for it back then, but by today's standards,
he was a friggin' genius.
Massively acclaimed.
Yeah, I mean, and so we're going to be posting this stuff on the website. Of course, we have on Fridays we have the Matt's writing and doing the Fridays
Conspiracy Theory Fridays.
Conspiracy Theory Friday. So that goes up every Friday. So we are actually trying to give you guys a lot more interesting subjects.
That might be a bit more toned down now.
Now that the beard's gone. Yeah, Matt, I'm upset. Dixon, I'm going in depression again. That was an awesome beard. Sorry. Please talk about something else before I lose it. Anyway, so we went out Sunday night. We decided, bugger, let's not do a show tonight. Let's go out and explore, because we heard some stories and that, and we went out to the back of Brookfield. So you want to tell us the stories about what happened there?
Okay, probably. Yeah, we went out and checked out a couple of places, sort of ranging from, sort of Kenmore right out the way to the very, very back of Brookfield. And probably the weirdest thing that we had happen is we went right to as far as you can go back in Brookfield till we got right to the end of the road.
Yeah.
And we pulled up for a minute and were having a chat in the car. And whilst I was...
Yes, that's all we were doing. Was having a chat in the car. I just want to verify that, because people start to think we spend too much time together.
That's right.
Well, we do, probably, but doesn't matter. Keep going.
But, yeah, as Brad, you were sitting in the passenger seat, and I was looking sort of over my shoulder, looking at you, and...
Not in a loving way, just looking at me.
Just looking at you. And
thinking, where am I going to hide the body? You keep going, yep.
Yeah, with the passenger window just behind you, and something about, I guess, a metre tall, and I don't know, about as round as a basketball, came bolting straight out of the bush, past the side of the car, and disappeared behind the car, just vanished into thin air.
Now, I didn't see this, okay? I'll admit that. I did not see this, but the look on Liam's face was priceless. It was like, what the hell was that? I'm going, what? And I'm looking around everywhere. And that's what happened. So we both, well, you jumped out of the car first. And I went, I suppose I better get out too. So we both jumped out of the car and we were looking around. We couldn't see anything. But yeah, that was a really weird experience for you.
Yeah,
I didn't
really
get to see it, unfortunately.
And it's, very, whatever it was, very solid and going at top speed as well.
So if anyone knows out there what stands about a metre tall, the head shaped like a basketball, it was round, solid, but moved very quick. That was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it disappeared behind the back of the car.
Yeah, so I kept an eye on it until it got to the back of the car, but it didn't come out the other side of the car.
Nope.
And yeah, we were out of the car pretty quick, and we had a fair distance a fair radius around the car worth of road, that was,
Yeah.
clear area, and so it had nowhere left to go. and
Because we
there
went
was
up there
nothing.
to check the gates of the cult that used to be there,
Yeah,
didn't we? So at the back of Brookfield, there used to be this cult. What was it called? The Fellowship of the...
I can't remember off the top,
Yeah,
but
right.
it had some bizarre name right up the very back.
Because a couple of episodes ago we were talking about, those crazy cults. And we actually had one here in Brisbane, and it was in Brookfield of all places, up in that cul-de-sac area. So we went up there to see if there's any cameras up there, and they're still there, the gates. Nothing was there anymore. But where we were parked, which is weird. I mean, think about it, a cult used to be there, we know about. Yeah, next one you see this black figure shoot off behind the bush.
shoot alongside the car and
So I'm
disappear
going,
in thin air.
hello. That was a bit of fun. Then after that, we decided we'd go and check out the... we went to the Brookfield Cemetery.
Yep.
Now, we didn't go into the cemetery at all. We actually stood outside because we're not silly. We know you're going to need a special permission to go in a cemetery after dark. So if all those people out there say, oh, you shouldn't be in the cemetery, no. It's fine if you're outside the gates,
Yep.
which we were, but I've got a very good camera, so I was taking long-distance shots and just trying different apertures and everything because we're going out on Friday night to Moonlight Tours.
We are.
So I'm taking my big camera set up, and I'm going to take a lot of long exposure shots and stuff like that, so we can get some really beautiful shots of the cemetery. Because I think it's about not necessarily where we pick up anything of a paranormal nature, but our view is that cemeteries are places of beauty and of peace. And of course, if there's crazy shit going on there, we want to know about it, catch it as well. But
So something just so happens to
It
step
happens.
into the photo at that time.
That's great. That's why I have long exposures. And it's funny, and this is something for the listeners to try as well when they go out. Try, if you've got a digital SLR or anything like that, most people I know do the point and shoot. You know what I mean? Like because I've got a good film background, I've got a pretty good understanding about exposure. I mean, we spent a bit of time messing about.
Yeah.
Trying to get the aperture setting, because each time we went somewhere was different. We had to change it again and again and again till we sort of got a system in place. But a couple of the shots you probably see on the Facebook site are beautiful shots, and your great-grandparents,
So great grandparents.
great-grandparents, they must have been pretty awesome if they were that great.
Awesome.
So they're buried at the Brookfield Cemetery.
Yep.
But like I said, we stood outside, I got a big lens, we're messing around with different light sections, and we picked up some really beautiful shots, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, really nice shots. I mean, really lovely stuff. Nothing paranormal that we could tell. But, you can always get on and check it further for us. I don't have a lot of time to sit there and scroll through all the photos and sort of pull it apart too much because, I really don't have time. Seriously. We haven't been going to friggin' bed till God knows when in the morning and get up early, go to work. Separate bedrooms. I just want to share that with everyone. Because my wife thinks we've got a bit of a romance going on, doesn't she?
She does.
We spend a lot of time together. All the stories. So I keep cutting you off, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm really seriously, guys. If you get a chance, go out, explore. If you know what I mean. Like we didn't do a show last night. We didn't do a show the night before because there comes a point every time then we just want to go out and explore. Check stuff out for yourself. And yeah, we had a ball, didn't we? Just the two of us went out there, took great photos. We started outside. Then where did we go to? We went to...
So, and prior to that, we went out and checked out, there's a big park in sort of just bordering on Moggle there.
Oh yeah, that
where
was
there
weird.
Yeah, it used to be a huge Aboriginal Bora ring.
Oh.
And a big ceremonial grounds.
That gave me the willies.
So, which was quite a bizarre place to be, and very dead still when we got there and walked into the sort of closer to where the Bora ring was, and all of a sudden the wind picked up and the temperature dropped. And
It dropped dramatically, didn't it? It was like, oh look, yeah, I know it's coming into winter and everything, but there was a certain section, because what would happen, we were at the main part of the park first, and we're sort of taking a few photos and that, and just messing about, trying different things. And as we're walking further and further down the path, deeper and deeper into the scrub, we actually turned into bushland.
yeah,
We both stopped, and you just went, nah. And I went, nah. you explain it, man.
yeah. Oh, there was a definite gut feeling just sort of where we'd gotten right up to, the path goes from being fairly wide and open to narrowing right down almost to like a bit of a tunnel with the
Yeah,
trees
really.
hanging over the top of it. And it was, yeah, I definitely distinctly got this feeling that it, because at that stage too, it sort of goes up and over a bit of a hill and disappears down the other side. And I got the definite feeling that, you know, don't lose sight of the road. Like if you go any further,
We
you're
won't
sort
be
of-
coming back.
Yeah, you're in their territory then, and yeah, it's not a good idea. But I think you had the feeling too. We were being watched, and
Yeah, that was really weird. It's just, it was basically around the same time you said, let's not go, and I went, no, there's something. It actually felt like, this is the weirdest thing, I couldn't pinpoint where it was, but it just felt like, no, there was two, I mean, we were two fairly fit guys, we're not little blokes, well, except for Princess over here, you know, he's a pretty boy. Yeah, I'm the one who, yeah, it's not so pretty. And so we were checking out these places out, and I just swear to God, I was standing going, and I actually said it to her, I said, man, it feels like we're being watched from the bushes. You know what I mean? Like there was something around us.
yeah,
And as we went in further, it got thicker and thicker, didn't it?
yeah,
It really got that density to the atmosphere. So it was just weird, eh? It was just one of those experiences that, in all places of the park. Now, we don't suggest you go on your own when you do this. We can pretty much look after ourselves. You know, two fairly big blokes, and that's the thing. We can look after ourselves in that sense. But still, you know, if you're thinking about going out, just go with at least one other person.
yeah. You should always go. I mean,
Yeah.
even being big and fit, if you're out on your own, especially in the Queensland summer as well,
Yeah.
and decide that, yeah, don't see the brown snake and stand
Yeah.
on the snake.
Yeah, we're not just talking about snakes. Yeah, we are talking about, there's other things in there that'll get you too, like
Yeah.
drunks and stuff like that. But so that was interesting. So we finished up there, and
Although I was going to say,
but
what about the photo
oh yeah,
that we got at that exact moment?
look, I'm not a fan of orbs at all. Not like orbs. No, don't do anything for me. I can usually tell if it's a bug, you know, because you have that like flutter. You can usually see wings or something. Whatever this thing was, it was solid, and it was bright as, but it was. You know how you can tell if something's up close to the camera?
Yep.
This thing was actually in the location where it was shot.
It had a bit
wasn't
of distance.
and a
away
fair
from
bit of
the camera.
distance actually, and it was a big ball, white ball. But you know, you can always tell with bugs you see movement and stuff like that. But it wasn't. It was a stationary object.
Almost, yeah, almost like a reflection off like a, you know, one of those roadside
Yeah.
reflectors, but there was no roadside
No,
reflector.
we're in the middle of a bush at this stage, and yeah. So interesting photo. I'm not going to say it's paranormal, but it was just one of those photos you look and go, yeah, that's cool. It
It's
was
very interesting that we got it at the moment that we both
Yeah,
felt
felt up.
uneasy,
Yeah,
and it was the only time I think in the entire night that we had a photo that was like it. So
Yeah, well, that's right, you know, and that was great. That was a great night. And then we went to, where did we go to then?
and we went and had a quick look at Chapel Hill Cemetery.
Chapel Hill. We went out to Chapel Hill Cemetery. This is really weird, this cemetery. It's beautiful. It is really old, very small, I will admit. It's a small cemetery.
Yep.
But they've got this kindergarten right bang daycare centre right bang on the edge of the cemetery. You literally can throw a ball and hit a freaking tombstone
Yeah.
or something. So that was interesting. But yeah, that was lovely. That was, yeah, we were more interested in just having a look at bits and pieces. You know what I mean? Just go and have a look and stuff like that. You know, we didn't take a lot of photos. We just sort of checking it out. Yeah, that was cool.
It was very cool.
Then we went home. Didn't we?
We did.
We did. What time was it? About midnight? We sort of,
I think so.
yeah. I've got to stop doing this. I'm getting too old for this. Anyway, I'm just watching this kid run around the car several times. Open the door, shut the door, open the door, shut the door. Yeah, it's quite entertaining actually. Look at him.
He might be stealing the car.
He looks like looks
a-
like he's about 3. And he's
Very well prepared 3-year-old
But,
car
yeah,
thief.
what's he doing with that bit of wire?
was going to say he's picked the best looking car
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
cover.
yeah, no.
He's got an imported European.
No, he has actually broken into the car. He's now hot wiring the car. Oh, joys of joy, children. Don't you love them? Yeah. God. We got kids, mine are getting old. Then on Monday night, we were having dinner. I said, Liam, I really don't feel like doing the show tonight. I've had a gutful. Yeah, I'm tired. I just don't want to do it. Then what did we do?
So we decided to go for
Another drive.
another drive in the opposite direction this time.
And where did we end up, Liam?
And we ended up at South Brisbane Cemetery.
Where did we go before that, Liam?
We went to Bogger Jail.
We did. We went to Bugger Road Jail.
We
Dead
did.
silence.
Dum, dum, dum.
Dum. The jail that really we're not even allowed to be 10 feet off.
Yeah, so which is good. So
Yeah.
had the opportunity to
Yeah.
stand out the front and
Yeah, we
have
just-
a good look. And
Yeah, but it's, look, to be, I know it sounds stupid, but I've never had a chance actually to go there. I know it sounds, I've lived in Brisbane for years, but I've just never had the opportunity to because, didn't have the time. But so we went out to Bogger Road Jail. I got a couple of lovely photos which I'll put up. And I got this photo, I've got the camera on timer, and you're standing and saying, stand there, don't move, don't move. Then I hit the timer, and then I run like shit. I buggy stand and go, thumbs up, click. It was a great night.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've got a couple of lovely photos of that. I'll post them up later. Then we went to South Brisbane, where
Yep.
we're going to Moonlight Tours. Same thing again. Even though Liam has access to the cemetery with historical side of things, we still did the right thing. We stayed outside the cemetery through the gates and stuff, and we took some more beautiful photos
yeah, which I think, especially down on that corner there.
with Celtic.
Yeah, a lot of big Celtic crosses and
Yep.
all. Yeah, it's quite. I won't say creepy, but
Oh, it's creepy, dude.
it's
It's
down
creepy.
the corner. It's all big Moreton Bay figs overhanging and
Yeah.
sort of all the tendrils coming down from the branches over
Oh.
the top of the graves. But we got some fantastic shots.
Well, this is the thing where we're going to start taking a lot more. Look, I love cemeteries, and to me, when I lived in New Zealand, like I've said before, I was lucky enough to have given full access to Karori cemeteries and a lot of the cemeteries in Wellington, because I actually originally went through Film New Zealand, if you know what I mean. So I had special access to a lot of these places after dark and all the rest of it because I was tied up with that side of things. So, but I remember just going there and you got 100 hectares, of exploring to do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it was such, you walk in there and cause it, and there's big old massive trees and a lot of the mausoleums setups along one row, if you know what I mean. You had little gaps up in the brickwork, and I had a special little camera I used to put on this monopod and stick it up there and click and take photos and so on. I know it sounds a bit off, but it was just interesting the way, because you can't go into the mausoleums and that, but they still have ventilation.
yeah, they got the little ducts up the top.
Ducks. And actually, I was just trying to find them. It's been years. And I actually caught this one beautiful photo of, like, because they don't actually enclose anything. They just have the coffin sort of in the mausoleum, like in a space. And I've got this one photo. I've got to find it. I still want to track it down. So it was on my old computer. I think I saved it somewhere. And I just happened to get a perfect angle, and you could see sort of, because it was a family crypt, as it were, it was up fairly high. And it's this beautiful shot of this coffin in this ornate surround. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, sort of still like sort of slotted
in
into
the
a
old
special spot.
and it was such a, people say, oh, it's just gross. No, it's not gross. It's. And this is the thing we're going to talk about is cemeteries. I mean, I love cemeteries. I reckon cemeteries it disgusts me with some of the things that go on in cemeteries.
Yeah,
Absolutely disgusts me, especially when there's vandalism involved and stuff like that. I remember speaking to one of the ground technicians, or gravedigger as you call them. Like they call them ground technicians in New Zealand. I was actually there talking to one of the guys there, and this bloke, man, I'm 6'2", and he was lucky to come up to me waist tiny little fella, but lovely guy. And he was telling me the story one night how 100, they got the cast iron plates.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. The little.
Yeah, like little
number plates.
Yeah, little plates that had
Grade
used
markers.
here. Yep. Over 100 were stolen in one night.
Wow.
They had people, but they ended up getting them back because whoever got it must have got a conscience and sort of put them back outside like a week later.
Yeah.
Because probably thought they couldn't melt them down or sell them scrap. Because it's a bit obvious, isn't it?
Rocking up to the local scrap dealer with
Yeah.
a trailer full of grave markers.
Here you go.
It's not what it looks like.
No, you twat. Also, I interviewed him. We had a chat and we were talking about. And he told me this one story, and some people are going to find this upsetting, but unfortunately, this stuff does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen in cemeteries, and that's why I'm all for tours going to the cemeteries, historical tours and cemeteries and stuff like that, because in a lot of ways it does. As long as you don't bullshit stories about certain things and make stuff up, if you actually give a historical tour, because there's people there, it stops a lot of this, in my viewpoint. But he was telling me how a lot of the children's graves were vandalised, and not talking knocking two, so they were dug up. They literally were digging up, and they actually caught the person who was doing this, and he had a collection of bodies hanging up on his wall.
Bloody hell.
Like infant, just sick individual. And that's disgusting. I don't even like talking about it, but this is the type of thing. And also don't forget all the shenanigans that goes on there.
Yeah.
There's this one story I read a little while ago, and how this woman and this bloke were having coitus in one of the local cemeteries over in the States, and being an act of God or something, the cross fell off the tombstone and nailed them both. They weren't killed or anything, but literally, they were on the throes of lovemaking, and this bloody cross came down and landed on
It's
both
just
of
very
them.
embarrassing when you need to call the local police to get them to come and
Well, basically,
free you from underneath.
they were pinned underneath this massive. They weren't hurt because, well, I don't know what happened. Anyway, see, karma.
Yeah,
Karma
that's
will
it.
come and get you every time. So a lot of those stories. I went to, there was old Johnsonville Cemetery, and this is a funny thing. I just love them to death. Johnsonville Cemetery in New Zealand was, I think, one of the oldest in New Zealand, or well, definitely in Wellington. A tiny little, but it was immaculate. Where I worked, literally, it was 2 car lengths away from it, the back door of it, and that's where I was stationed most of the time. So there's a funny story about this, and a bit of a spooky story regarding the cemetery too. I used to go there for lunch. They had like all park benches and stuff like that, and I was a foreman there, and it got to a point where my boys were, I had about 12 blokes working under me at this stage, working in this place. We used to fabricate windows and doors, aluminium stuff. And when I first got there, I used to go out there and sit on the bench and have my lunch, because the guys would be sitting around sort of outside. They could see me clear. I'm only like 10 metres
stone's throw
away.
away.
Yeah. Anyway, and after a short they said, well, "What are you sitting up there for, Brad? What are you doing? Why don't you?" I said, "Because it's nice. It's a beautiful place to sit down and just chill." And they sort of looked at me strangely for a while, and then after a short amount of time, one would come up and sit there, and another one would come up. And by the end of it, there was a few of us used to go up there at lunch breaks and just sit under the old tree, or the old oak tree up there, I think there was, and sit on the little bench set up and just sit down and have lunch and talk. And it was lovely. And those guys really started to take interest in that cemetery. They'd worked there for years and not taken any notice of it.
Never really bothered to even look in the general direction.
But one of the guys, especially the Turo, he'd come up to me and said, "Oh, Brad, I got this information about." He actually Googled some information for me. He said, "Oh, let's check this out. This is such and such." He actually took me through, and we're looking at eating our lunch, looking at the tombstones. Oh, this person here, and he had actually a printout of different things. How good's that?
Brilliant.
He becomes very active with the Johnsonville, because he lived very close to there.
Yep.
And he became very active, and I'd quite often, I'd see him after work to go up, and if there's any, he'd pick up a bit of rubbish and type thing, and he actually started taking a lot of pride in it, you know, and it was it became special to him.
Yeah.
It was special to me, but surely you've had those. Oh, you want to hear the spooky story first?
Yeah, spooky story.
Spooky story time, folks. Okay. What happened when I was looking at, and this is okay. Let me explain. You got to visualize this. My work building. There's this little side street that goes up, and there's another shop. Either side, it's tiny little. You fit one car in, one car out.
Yep.
Right. Go up this hill, and Johnsonville Cemetery sits right up on this hill. There is nowhere else to go. One way in, one way out. Back of my shop and the back of the other person's shop. That's it. There's one way in, one way out. I'm making this quite clear because where the cemetery sits, they put a retaining wall there, and it's, you know, it's at least a good 6 feet. You know, I used to say to the guys, because there used to be cemetery like graves right at the edge of this retaining wall. I said, right here, someone is probably about 6 inches in from here. And I explained to them how it sort of worked, how they dug it out and stuff. And they're going, well, we never thought of it that way. You know, they lean up against that wall having a smoke. Yeah. You're literally smoking next to a corpse, basically. Yeah. And that's what it's like. And until I actually got them to think about it, you know, and then I started seeing a lot more respect. If you know, and then they stopped smoking there and actually went back into the building. Little things, it's weird. Anyway, so I'm sitting there working away. I've just got a load of aluminium in, and I'm checking and texting. And I see this old guy walk up. And literally there's like a small cul-de-sac. And I said, oh, g'day. I looked for my head, oh, g'day. And all I got was a nod and a tip of the hat, as it were. And I didn't think much of it. And I put my head down and I went, that's not right. And I sort of, where's he going? And I looked up. I literally had my head down for like half a second. I looked up and he was gone. I went, okay. Stuck my head down there, and this guy was barely walking. He was ancient, you know. I mean, he was just sort of hobbling along. I literally thought he wasn't anywhere. He was only like 4 feet away from me when I saw him. And I put my head, oh, it's gone. And then the only other place I looked over there, and there was nothing down there. So I just walked 3 meters and checked down the alleyway where there's one way in, one way out. No,
Nothing.
nowhere to be gone. And there's no physical way this old guy could have bolted that quickly. Because my head down was half a second. I looked up and he's not there. Weird stuff. And it was then I started to notice a lot more weird stuff actually happening with the building I was working in. If you know what I mean, like it's just little things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like next minute a big pile of aluminium would come flying off the friggin' racking and stuff like that. And trouble with me is because I would be the first one there, first and last one to leave, because I was a foreman, so I'd make sure jobs were ready for the next day, and I'd set my boys off home, and the boss was great, you know, he was an awesome boss. He just said, yeah, you'll be right, you'll lock up Brad. So I used to and I used to finish up some work, and I'd be working in the office there, and I could see all the area bay, because I'd watching the guys, and literally we had this aluminium up on racking and stuff, and there's no way it could have come down, dude.
Yeah,
It's
no
too
way it
heavy.
could have come down.
No way. And next minute, bang, clang. I left about 6 feet in the air. No, fell off my chair. Turned my head around, and everything's on the floor. Yeah, so I sit there and put it all back up again. I was like, no, I'm going home now. Yeah, look, we used to come in and find the saw going and stuff like this, and there's no way.
Yeah, just those little things, but things that you can't possibly explain.
Little things. So it was just weird, you know. But that's the thing. You know, I love the fact that we have these amazing places. I just have a lot of passion for the cemeteries. You know? Yeah, the same as you. You know,
So,
the history. Yeah,
I mean, I was very similar. Only up until not all that long ago, I was fortunate enough to have worked for a number of years very, very close to Toowong Cemetery. So that was always, you know, you get hour-long lunch breaks. I'd always end up in Toowong Cemetery nearly every day of the week at lunchtime. And yeah, it's so easy to get yourself lost, you know, not sort of geographically lost, but just lost in looking at headstones. And you know, I used to love that. On at lunch breaks, you'd just go for a drive through Toowong Cemetery, and you'd get to sort of some of the lesser known, sort of lesser visited areas, and you'd see a headstone with a really bizarre or, you know, really sort of unique carving on it, or a really unique shape, or, you know, particularly beautiful cherub or something on top. So
Yeah.
you pull up and you go and have a look, and then you'd see something else a little bit further in. So you go and check that one out, and before you knew it, you'd been there for 3/4 of an hour walking. Sort of you'd be a mile away from the car, and
Yeah.
think, shit, I got to get back to work. But you're so easy to get lost, and a lot of the epitaphs on the graves as well about people's lives and what they'd experienced in life and what they'd achieved, and it's just truly amazing. And for the most part, unless you actually go to the cemetery and you go for a walk and you experience it, you would never have known anything about these people. They're just average everyday people, but to be able to sort of experience them and learn just a little bit about them and sort of get a bit of a feel for who they were when they were alive by what they've got on their headstones. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, look, if you I recommend it to people. You don't have to go at night and all the rest of like we do, but if you get a chance, go out during the day to your local cemetery and just read the headstones.
Yeah.
The ones you can read, because a lot of them you can't now and then, especially because they deteriorate and that. But and you just walk past Joe Bloggs, died 140 years ago. You know what I mean? That's his monument to him, or to her, or to the boy or girl, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you showed me the one the other night, the two twins. Oh, the twins, Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy and girl, was it? Yeah, two twin kids, and it's a funny thing he did. It was just brush away the bit of the stuff on top and said hello, type thing. I mean, I've done that, but it's that you get to know a certain person, takes your interest there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they in like the one at Dutton Park. I always see us tap on the thing. The old the guy who was the coroner.
Yeah, SB Dodds.
SB Dodds, that's it. And he saw some really bad shit in his time. You want to tell the story about him? Because he's a really fascinating guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was unbelievable in his time. He decided that he wanted to study medicine, and like everybody sort of, in the very late 1800s, there was, it was very difficult to do anything like that in Australia, so everyone would always go over to London, because London was sort of the premier, premier place to go and study medicine and surgery and that kind of thing. So he went over to England and got his medicine degree and came back. And at that stage that he came back, it was time for the Boer War at that stage.
Yep.
So he enlisted and went across, was transported over to South Africa and played his part as a medic over in the Boer War, and came back. And when he came back, he'd built such a reputation as a medicine man that he was actually offered the role. He started in private practice, but was offered the role as the state coroner. And so began a fairly illustrious career as the state coroner. And I mean, that was at a time as well when Queensland was still executing people. So he played a fairly large role in quite a few of the murders and trials and autopsies as well, to do with some of the last few people who were executed at Bogger Road Jail, and provided testimony in their trials, and went right through. He was again sent across to Europe in the First World War again, and ended up, he was quite badly injured in one of the conflicts, but ended up, I think he got the Distinguished Service Order and the Military Cross as well, so was fairly heavily decorated for his military service, and came back and did some more work as the state coroner again. But you can only imagine, over the couple of decades that he was state coroner, just the sort of man's inhumanity against man, and the horrible things that he would have seen. So anytime anyone in the greater Brisbane area was murdered or drowned or committed suicide, he was pretty much the first person who'd be called. Apart from the police. The police would be straight on the phone and get in contact with him to come out and immediately investigate, and he'd do the autopsy and follow it right the way through. But unfortunately, whether it was just those couple of decades of seeing just the worst of the worst, poor old JSB Dodds ended up committing suicide himself and hanged himself in his garage at home. So only around about the age of 50, early 50s. So. Sort of cut his own life short. So very, very sad, but most likely to do with the fact that just the horrible things that he's seen throughout his life, and obviously weighing on him.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that type of thing non-stop. You know what I mean? It's just been involved in every grisly murder, suicide, accidental death. And just been involved in that for. I mean, a lot of people thrive on that sort of work, if you know what I mean. But still, having someone who's so decorated, just decided no more. And that's the one thing I noticed when we're in there. You always go past. You give it a pat. Yeah, just g'day, mate. How you doing? That's respectful.
Like a lot of the other people's headstones that have got these fairly extensive epitaphs on them, you'd not know. If you were to walk past and not know who he was, you'd have no idea, because it's literally got J. Aspie Dodds and his year of birth and year of death.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yes, there's nothing.
Clearly just didn't want anything fantastic, or it's like a very large, big black granite grave topper, but very nondescript. So obviously didn't want anything too flash to stand out from anybody else. And it's sort of kind of unusual when you think about it as well, that around his grave, there'd be a lot of other people, buried in the very near vicinity to him that he would have conducted the autopsies on. Yeah,
you think about it, especially when doing the hangings and especially the prisoner was executed from the jail itself, Boggo Road Jail. He would have been the one.
And I mean, even when you think about Ernest Austin, who's the last man executed in Queensland, we're very fast approaching the 100-year anniversary of that, and he played a very, very large role in the trial of Ernest Austin, and was one of the very first people out at Sanford when the poor little girl's body was discovered out there. It was one of the very first people he was called immediately, and being 1913, he travelled out by motor car, which in 1913 you can't imagine there would be a great many of them in Brisbane, but it was made clear that he had to get out there post haste, and he played a very large role in providing evidence against Ernest Austin, which the evidence of which ended up with his execution. So now the two men are
so buried pretty close to
it. Quite ironic, both men were hanged, and buried only a couple of 100 metres apart from one another.
That's right. That's just the thing about stories. I remember going through my first real experience with cemeteries was I had some really creepy ass. Don't get me wrong, I've had some real freaky shit happen in cemeteries. In my time, and I remember as a young bloke going to the local Gladstone cemetery, because where I was, what got me really fascinated with cemeteries was actually in year 9. Because in year 9, I went to a private high school with Chanel College. Well, it was the Gladstone Catholic High School back then. Straight across the road from the high school was the Gladstone Cemetery. The cemetery. Quite a large, not huge, but large at the same time. And for a field excursion, we had to go across there and do a bit of history and check the headstones and stuff. And I guess that was my real first experience with the cemeteries, and I was fascinated. As a young bloke, I would quite frequent the cemetery, and I'd read all the, you tend to get, you don't, oh, that sounds weird, you sort of, certain ones you tend to form a relationship with, don't you?
Yeah.
You do in a lot of ways. I know that sounds odd, but if you go and explore them and stuff like that, and show respect and everything, it's great. And there was a couple there that, similar thing. I would go there and I'd find out who was there and stuff like that, because Gladstone had a lot of history behind it. Before QIL was built, QIL, for people who don't know, is a alumina refinery. I mean, I worked there for 7 years. When I was a young bloke after I left school. My father just retired from there after 39 years there. It's a local refinery. But before it was that, it was a cannery. And there was an old timber wharf that used to go, and then they had a lot of accidents. So a lot of these people who worked in Gladstone when it first became a town, a lot of the people, old names are buried there. And it's beautifully maintained though. That's the thing, it's beautifully maintained. And I went there. I spent a lot of time there. As I got older, I got more. As a 13-year-old or 13-year-old, I wasn't that keen on going there at night. to be honest. Yeah, you just didn't do that. You
Yeah.
know, it was just not safe. Even back in those days, you just yahoos and all the rest of it. But as I got older, I found myself exploring more and more at night. You know, going in there at night time, and look, we had some crazy ass stuff going on there from time to time. Remember, so I used to go on my own though. That's the problem. You know, I was, you know,
Yeah.
when I was late teens, when I had my own car, it was a lot easier. So all my mates, I've told the story before, but all my mates would be going out drinking and chasing the girls. I'd be out at the local cemetery, ghost hunting, as it were. You know, learning the ropes basically. Always respectful, but you know, I remember one night I'm sitting down there on one of the seats out there, and I swear to you, just the noises, and I've been there lots, and
Yep.
nothing ever happened. You know, it just nothing. But one night I was sitting there, and I could hear these weird noises. It was like distant echoes. You know what I mean? But they're coming within the cemetery. It wasn't like, I know how sound travels. I understand that. I know how echoing can, you know, I understand that. It was like there were people around, you know, like someone was around me talking, but there was no one around. And I swear to God, man, I was crapping donuts.
Yeah.
I was pooping bricks the size of houses. I was too scared to move. And that's how terrified I was. You know, I think I was 18. You know what I mean? On my own, cemetery, 1 o'clock in the morning.
I always love how you seem to, you know, you always go into like that little kid mentality though. It's like, if I don't move,
They
it
won't see me. And I could literally hear this voice calling out. You know what I mean? Yeah, it wasn't even distinctive. I couldn't recognise what it was saying. It was more like a sound. You know, I can't even try and mimic it, but it was like it was calling out to you or something.
Yeah.
But it was in the cemetery. I know it was. And yeah, and so that freaked the ass off me, man. Yeah, I didn't go back there for at least a couple of weeks. I took a break for a couple
at
of
least
weeks.
a little bit.
At least a little bit. And I was back in there, and you know, we saw the old figures dashing across and all those, you know, and none of your eyes are playing tricks in, but it's dead dark, you know, but your eyes adjust. It's like you said the other night when we were out at the Brookfield Cemetery. It gets so dark out there that if there's any figures running about, like a shadow figure or something like that, they're darker than dark.
Yeah.
And they stand out. I know it sounds weird, but they do. You know what I mean? That's why people see shadow figures in pitch dark places, because they're darker than dark. You know, they stand out. So yeah, weird stuff. But I loved it. The only time I was ever scared was that one time.
Yeah.
That's when I started going with other people. I started roping others to come with me for my little ghost hunting groups. But you learn from that.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. You learn from all your experiences and what you do, and you have fun doing it. And even to this day, I still love going to cemeteries. Yeah.
No, they are special places. Like, even just listening to you talk, you know, it reminds me, there's a grave not all that long ago. I just literally stumbled across it, Toowong Cemetery, and I only just caught my eye from a distance, you know, off to the side of one of the roads, one of the avenues that runs through the cemetery. And so I pulled up and went out and had a look. And it just gives you an idea of sort of the way that, you know, everything, you know, history in Brisbane is amazing. It's
Oh, hell yeah.
Everything's sort of interconnected, and, you know, it's all quite incestuous. Everything sort of, you know, intertwines. But this one grave had a big anchor on the front of it, and it was a bit of a pillar, and the chain, you know, all carved out of one piece of rock, with the chain that sort of coiled and, you know, spiraled back up the pillar, and a big epitaph on the front that it was from the fireman from HMQS Gayndah, and he'd died. I think he'd fallen overboard and had drowned, and all of his shipmates had pitched in, you know, part of their pays, and they bought this beautiful sort of carving to put on the top of his grave. And, you know, you just think, I'd only just sort of spotted it out of the corner of my eye and pulled up and thought, oh, I'll go and have a look at that. You know, but you think even that grave, which no one would ever really know was there, and, you know, you think the HMQS, Her Majesty's Queensland ship Gayndah, was actually one of, in its time, was absolute state-of-the-art warship that was stationed in Brisbane, and even it played a major role in Brisbane history. At one stage, the captain, who I think he only had about 6 months left worth of tenure as the captain of the vessel, and he decided he wanted 2 months off, and put in his recreation leave request. But at that stage, there was talk that they were possibly going to take the crew off and send the ship over to England for England to use for a little bit. 'Cause back in those days, what England said went.
No, of course it did.
And they turned
As
him
Her
down.
Majesty's request.
Yeah, they turned him down on his 2-month holiday request. So he actually weighed anchor out at the mouth of the Brisbane River and set sail down the river and pulled up off Gardens Point, which is QUT campus now. And at that stage, that was sort of, that was Government House down there, and swung the guns of the warship around on Government House and said that he was going to obliterate the seat of Parliament of Queensland because they turned him down on his holidays.
You couldn't get away with that nowadays, could you?
And just an amazing story to the point where they were so fearful that he was actually going to carry through with his request. At that stage, Fort Lytton, which actually has a big History Alive expo coming up, I think in 2 weekends' time, 2 or 3 weekends' time, I think. So yeah, for anyone who is in Brisbane, check out Fort Lytton and the History Alive. It's going to be a fantastic event. But Fort Lytton was a huge fort with a number of big guns on it that covered the mouth of the Brisbane River to stop any warships from being able to come in and attack Brisbane. And messages were sent to Fort Lytton that if the Gayndah came back up the river to try and make sea, it meant that she'd actually blown up Parliament House. And Fort Lytton, all the guns at Fort Lytton were given permission to fire upon her and sink her if she tried to get out the mouth of the Brisbane River. And they couldn't believe it at Fort Lytton because it was, it's like the state-of-the-art warship that was ours, and they couldn't understand why they were being given these orders to fire upon her.
To blow it up.
I mean, even to this day, sort of you jump ahead again, and once she was decommissioned, she was turned into a tow barge.
Yeah.
And she now sits, ended up, I think it might have been about the 1960s, she was taken out to Redcliffe, like at Woody Point, and run up the rocks, and she's still sitting there now. Like, not a huge much left of her. It's sort of just a bit of the bow and a couple of little bits and pieces, where it's still just slowly rusting away. But and I mean, that's sort of gives you an idea of sort of just little things that you see in cemeteries. And if you know your Brisbane history, just the way that it tracks through, it's just it's amazing.
So what did we do the other day? We went to St. Lucia University. You know what I mean? I loved that university. It is so majestic. It is just like, I felt happy there.
Yeah.
And we went to the library there because you needed to track down a book. But I was just scoping through the library there, and there's a photo of it we posted, but it's surprising what you won't find online.
Yeah.
Either, you know what I mean? Like information you just will not find online. You actually find it in books. Read a book.
Yeah, those things
Those
that
things
you've
with
seen,
paper,
you've seen on the internet.
Yeah. What's this book thing you talk about? It's kind of witchcraft. But books are brilliant, and this is the thing. I still do spend a lot of time reading books in that sense, because there's certain things you'll find in books that you will not find copied and pasted online, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You can't always believe was it Wikipedia?
Anyone.
You can't really believe anything Wikipedia
and
writes
write
up.
whatever they want in it. So,
Because I could write something on, edit something in Wikipedia, type, anyone can do it. But you go and you track down, and one of the books you were looking at to buy this book online, what was $2,600?
yeah.
Yeah, this is what was that one called? That was
I can't remember what that one was. Just on early Queensland history.
Early Queensland history and that. So take the time, visit your local library, and read a book. I'm sorry, I must be getting old, but that's the thing. Before we had internet, before we had social media and social network, before we had every program under the sun on Foxtel, we had books, and books are written by the people who had first-hand experience.
Yeah.
They could be journals, they could be notes, people actually there, not something you'd find. So if you have a certain interest, see if you can track the book down to it.
So I mean, like, we were even looking at that copy of J.J. Knight's in the early days, published in 1895.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Man, we sound like nerds. It's a big geeks with manly facial hair, I should say. But you know, I love the aspect of learning this information and getting it firsthand. And look, and we got off subject a little bit, but you will lose yourself in a book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm. You know, that's what I try to install in my kids to read. You know, yeah. Look, Google's great. It's great and handy and does everything, but there's so much that's not online.
Yeah. Yeah, and even just the experience, like we've walked in, you just get that
the smell.
first hit of
the books,
old books.
Oh, they got a smell of their own, don't they?
Yeah.
And but going to St. Louis University was fantastic because there's a bit of a story behind one of the buildings there too, isn't there?
Hey, which story?
Oh, the story about the place that made you crap your dacks.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Not at St. Lucia.
Lucia, that's
but part of UQ Holdings,
Yeah.
which is over at Ipswich now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was what was known as Challinor, which went,
That's it.
you know,
Yep.
dated right back, you know, and was sort of originally when it was its own standalone, was known as Ipswich Hospital for the Mentally Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going right back, and this ties in with what we were doing on Saturday night as well at Wollston House.
Yeah.
You know, and that used to be Woogaroo Lunatic Asylum, and they built a sort of I guess like a campus of Woogaroo Lunatic Asylum at Ipswich, which eventually, you know, through a number of name changes became the Challinor Centre, and was sort of the Ipswich, you know, section for the mentally insane, and. There's a big building that's still tucked away right up the very back, and eventually that was shut down probably, I guess, 96 and 97, and the site sat there for a little while, and eventually it was decided to sell it off, and University of Queensland at that stage were after a campus that they could utilise in Ipswich, and were very, very lucky to pick up, you know, the old Challinor Centre, and most of the buildings. A few of them were demolished, most of them were completely gutted out and refitted, and they did a really remarkable job of sort of utilising the architecture that they had there, so it still retained a lot of its character, and then refitting the insides of them to turn them into lecture theatres and whatnot. But there's this one building that's tucked away right up the very back, and it's called Blair Pavilion. It's known as Blair Pavilion. It's a huge sandstone building, and it's been under lock and key since Challinor shut down, and at one stage University of Queensland were actually thinking of turning it into international student accommodation, because it's got a big hall that runs, especially on the top floor, that runs the entire length of the building, and a number of cells, you know, and quite a number of cells that run off this main hallway, and they thought that, you know, it'd make a perfect sort of dormitory accommodation, except for the fact that in its day it had actually been the building that housed the criminally insane.
Funny that.
So it was the worst of the worst, and you know, this building had a horrible reputation, you know, as having the worst of the worst people. And I've heard stories of inmates taking their sheets off their beds and knotting them together and tying them. There's one big central stairwell, and it spirals down. And I've heard stories of inmates knotting their bed sheets together, fashioning a rope, tying it on the top banister, and then sort of hiding. There's a little nook that they would hide in, and then anyone from the hospital, any of the hospital staff, when they'd sort of walk around the corner, they'd have a noose thrown over their neck and be grabbed by the clothes and upended over the banister and hung down the stairwell. But in between it being Challinor and becoming University of Queensland, I had the very distinct honour of being able to go out there and spend a couple of hours inside Blair Pavilion after dark. And I've never been petrified anywhere before, but being in that building absolutely scared the crap out of me. And yeah, it was someone talking to you when we were at Wollston House, that it was one of those moments where you didn't know whether you wanted to crap your dacks or vomit or pass out or run. Your brain was just overloaded. It just didn't know what it should do. But even sitting inside the cells, and you'd shut the door, and the cell doors are 2 or 3 inch thick solid wood, and you'd shut the doors and have a look on the inside of the doors, and there'd be fingernail scratch marks, you know, half an inch deep into the door, where someone whoever was in that cell had just sat for days or weeks or months, and just clawing at the door, until they'd worn these 1/2 inch deep fingernail gouges, into the door. But the one thing that really put the wind up me is where the spiral staircase is, where were reputedly a couple of hospital staff who were murdered. There was this tiny little like a broom cupboard, little utility cupboard, right at the very bottom, underneath sort of the bottom of the stairs, and the door was probably only, I guess, probably 60 or 80 centimetres high, and probably 50 odd centimetres wide. So it's only sort of about the size of a dog kennel, like this little cupboard that was tucked under the stairs. And being quite curious, I thought I'll open that and just have a quick peek in there and see if I can, see if they've left anything in there. And I open the door, and here in this tiny little pocket underneath the stairs on the inside of the door, here are these big fingernail gouge marks.
Oh,
So for
nice.
quite long periods of time, apparently, they'd been locking people in this tiny little cupboard the size of a dog kennel underneath the stairs, which, I vomited a little in the back of my mouth when I saw that.
There's a little creeping its way up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gross. That's
But
terrible.
just one of the most insane places, pardon the pun, I've ever been in. Just,
Yeah. No,
just
I had
make you feel sick, and you could feel just your life being sucked out of you by sheer virtue of being in that building.
I'm trying to remember the prison, the Nelson, what was it? Napier prison. Yeah, the Napier prison. I was in New Zealand there, and I got asked to go along and check out there was two things. I was doing Jono's new show. Jono's new show was this New Zealand comedy TV show. I was there for two reasons. I got asked to go and be a guest on that. They had a parody to do of Ghost Hunt. It was funny. It was really well done, actually, and I was happy to do it. And also, I was being interviewed by Channel 7 over there. Anyway, so drove to Napier, called into the prison, and met a few other people, and that was really cool. Me and a mate of mine, Dave Glibson, decided we'd go and check out the old prison. We had full access to this place. Nothing was out of limits for us. Anyway, so we're checking them out, and we come across the old suicide watch room. This was interesting. And I'm standing in the suicide watch room, just sort of standing there quietly. You had the old EVP thing happening, and next minute, it felt like someone brushed the top of my head, because I was bald. I had no hair at all then. I shaved my head, and it felt like someone ran their hand over my head. I just got the instant creep outs. You know what I mean? They actually put the fear of life into me. The funniest thing is, the stories go behind that were that the prisoners, because they had the most common place for people to commit suicide was in the suicide watch room. Because what they used to do was pull the springs out of the bed and stab themselves in the throat with it.
God, that's keen.
That happened quite a bit. Now, this weird thing is that certain sections, because of the Maori, religious base and all the rest of the spiritual side of things, there's certain section of the prison that pregnant women aren't allowed to go. As it says, pregnant women, please do not enter here, or something, because it's bad.
Yeah,
bad stuff, bad mojo stuff happening there. It's really weird, because the guy who owned the prison, I got to talking to him, and there's one particular section of the prison that he will not go to. Just one, he'd go to it, but he walks on one side of it, because he swears black and blue that there's this vortex thing happening in this one corner in this one corridor. But I remember walking through that going on my own. I thought I'd go for a bit of a look around, a bit of explore. All I had was a little torch with me, and I'm standing there quietly. I'm the only one in there at the moment, because everyone else is sort of other wings and that. So I'll go off on my own. I'll let you get here, like boots, walking up, walking past me. It's like I'm standing going, I'm getting louder, on top of me, then start slowly disappearing. Oh man, it freaked the hell out of me, because I'm standing going, okay, I can't see anything here, what's going on? It's like these heavy boots just start, they seem to be coming around the corner.
Yep.
and then just sort of disappear up the hall. I'm going, oh man. You know, but this is the whole fun of, I guess, doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's having those one-off experiences that sort of leave you scratching your head and going, did I just experience that, or was my mind just doing cartwheels and making it up? You know, and this is the thing, we just don't know. But anyway, mate, we have come to the end of tonight's show, believe it or not. It has flown.
It has.
We got here late tonight, so we pack it up tonight. But just in close on tonight's show, listen, thank you to everyone, all the new... God, haven't the stats jumped?
Yeah.
That's
Lots
great.
Lots of new friends, lots of new likes. Brilliant.
Lots of Australian likes too. I've noticed we're getting lots and lots more Australian listeners coming on board, which is fantastic, you know. Still not quite there yet, because overseas are still kicking your butts, people. If you're an Aussie, you've got to start your own clickety click click click.
Yep.
Don't forget, also Andrew has set up a Twitter account for us.
Yeah.
So we're on Twitter now. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're literally, we are everywhere. We're everywhere, man. But don't forget, take time, tune into the Naked Zombie Radio. You'll find us on the website. That's where you listen to us now. Don't forget, tell your friends about the show. There may be something, and also if you have an interest in something to tell us, please get in touch with us.
Get in touch. Anything you want us to discuss or look into further and have a chat about.
Yeah, we love our history. And don't forget, this Friday night, if you're in Brisbane or outside of Brisbane, come to the Moonlight Tours at South Brisbane Cemetery.
Yep.
What time does it kick off?
So it kicks off at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
So yeah, anyone who's in Brisbane and interested, only $15. So, and all of that money goes straight back to the cemetery as well. So best fun you'll have for $15 on a Friday night.
100% goes back to the cemetery.
That's right.
No one gets paid to do this. So all earnings, and I can't stress this enough, all earnings made from these tours, for Moonlight Tours, goes back to the cemetery itself for its upkeep, maintenance, and what work do you do? Fix headstones?
Just repair and maintenance of graves that have fallen into disrepair.
Yep.
You know, from graves that obviously don't have families to
look
come and
after
tend
them.
to them anymore.
Yep. So don't forget. So, and also, if you have got tours out there or something, we've got a special event coming up you wish to share with the world, please get in contact with us. You can email me at brad@brad-scott.com with the details of your next event, or if you've got a tour yourself that you'd like to come out and check out as well. You know, I'm always happy to go and check these things out.
Yep.
Yeah, if we're in your local area, we'll pop on out and check it out. And on that happy note, don't forget, be a part of the Zombie. We love you all. You're awesome. Yay. And anything in closing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, just share the love.
Share the love. I'm Brad Scott, and joining me tonight in the Zombie Mobile, as we like to call it, is Liam Baker. And you've been listening to the best in Australian Oh God! Can I try that again?
Brilliant for like an hour and a half.
Brilliant, and I stuff
Muck
it
it
up.
up at the end.
I can't just zip, 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 zip. Rewind that. I'm Brad Scott, and you have been listening to the best in paranormal pop culture radio. And you've been listening to, what is it? The Naked Zombie. Good night, all. See you next time.
Night.